What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. Well, the French debates last night were in full effect. A lot of people saying that it was disappointing. It wasn't what they thought it was going to be. Now, I will reiterate before we get into tonight's English debate. The English debate is going to be much, much larger. It's going to be larger viewed. More people are going to be interested. The French debates, and it's not to slam the French, but more people will pay attention to the English-speaking debates than the French. I think that some of the punches maybe Pierre was prepared to pull or to put forward, I should say. He definitely pulled them last night in the debate, while some jabs were exchanged, and I'll get into those. I think tonight's English-speaking debate is going to be fire. I think it's going to be great. I would encourage all of you to come and join me for that live stream. It's going to be fantastic. Big shout out to our community who joined us last night. Absolutely phenomenal live stream. But Mark Carney, now, he's cheating. He's clearly cheating. We all know he's a cheater. He plagiarizes. He steals. He took Pierre's platform the entire debate. If anybody was asking who a clear winner from last night's debate was, I would highly suggest that it was Pierre Poilievre, even though he was cut off numerous times while giving his answers. And when I say cut off, at one point his mic was actually cut off by the debate. He was muted. While others were given a chance to finish their sentences, the bias was clearly there to put down Pierre Poilievre. I want to show you guys what went on during that debate because Mark Carney, of course, caught cheating. I pointed this out on the live stream last night. Now, here's our live stream as we showed it. Many people thought Mark Carney might wear an earpiece. Now, we've often said that Mark Carney is like is a lot like Kamala. He's having his Kamala moment. Here it is. Just like Kamala, he's wearing an earpiece. Not only is his French bad, but he needs people in his ear telling him how to fight back. He can't win this election on his own. He doesn't have the staying power. He doesn't have the plan. He doesn't have the experience. Pierre looking like a true leader last night in the debate, even though it was a little dry. My biggest issue with the debate was they focused mainly on Trump. It was all Trump, Trump, Trump. We need to focus on affordability. We need to focus on immigration. We need to focus on how Canadians keep their jobs, how they pay their bills, how they get away for lower taxes, how their money can go further. None of this was discussed really last night, although some jokes about, which all candidates made a joke at Mark Carney at one point saying they buy their own groceries. So again, a few jabs were taken. Jagmeet Singh threw a tantrum at one point about being unfairly treated. We're not going to show any of that. You should go back and watch the live stream, skim through it. But I want to show this moment with Mark Carney. Because I do point out here that, and tell me if I'm stretching it, but this looks like an earpiece. Let's take a look.
I am, because I'm going to put Canada first. I will never compromise Canada's interests.
Now, did you guys see it there? He was scratching the back of his head. But many people were spotting, again, that his finger was near his ear. Mark Carney being fed information. His ums and ahs were less apparent during this debate, even though he typically goes ah. You could tell somebody was translating for him in his ear. He was being fed information. With Pierre, again, being very reserved throughout the debate. I think the English debate is going to be a little more electric as the night goes on. What was funny is that you've got the CBC, the Canadian Clown Broadcasting Company, coming in after the debate to talk about what happened. This is where a lot of people didn't see on live stream. We didn't cover this on live stream. But here are the post-debate questions. And while those were going on, the CBC making it sound like Mark Carney won the debate. Take a look at this.
Fitted by the fact that, frankly, Yves-François Blanchet and Jagmeet Singh clearly don't like Pierre Poilievre. And so they attacked Mr. Poilievre quite strongly, and they did Mr. Carney's job for him. So Mr. Carney could be that kind of like calm, dad-like, boring person on the sideline, while the two others were like, we think that you're promoting hatred. And, you know, so
So I hope the CBC enjoys losing their job in a few weeks when Pierre becomes prime minister. It's going to be absolutely hilarious. What's funny is that when the questions went on, Jagmeet Singh, of course, while his party is going in free fall, while his party is going down with the Titanic, again, refuses to answer questions. He has a tantrum during the debate about how he's unfairly treated, how nobody's listening to him, but nobody wants to listen to what he has to say, yet he refuses to answer questions from rebel media again. Now, listen to the hypocrisy of Jagmeet Singh. Again, this is mostly for entertainment purposes. We're going to get to Mark Carney in a second. Watch what happens here.
Mr. Singh, Drea Humphrey with Rebel News. Your party takes great pride in standing against hate such as white supremacy, Islamophobia, and online...
Sorry, I didn't get your outlet.
Drea Humphrey with Rebel News.
So he comes in and says, I didn't get your outlet. He knows darn well who Drea is. He had to ask because he was committed to where he goes with this.
Your party...
You know where I'm going to go with this, all right?
Can I speak?
Yeah, you can. I'm just going to say you know where I'm going to go with it, though.
What a pompous jerk. I'm just saying, you know where I'm going to go with this, right? I'm not going to answer you. I'm not going to field your questions. I am so elite, I don't have to answer you.
Party takes pride in standing against hate such as white supremacy, Islamophobia, and online hate speech. Yet you stay silent about ongoing attacks against Christians, even after Conservative MP Jamil Javani's order paper question revealed that over 200 churches have been targeted by arson and vandalism since claims of remains being discovered at former residential schools swept the nation in 2021. These claims have been disproven by bands that excavated and remain unproven by those that have not. Will you condemn the rise in acts of hate against Christians today and explain what your party will do moving forward to keep Christians safe from hate in Canada?
Again, thank you, but I'm not going to respond to an organization that promotes misinformation and disinformation like Rebel News, so no, I'm not going to respond to your question.
Well, what's funny, Jagmeet, is people aren't going to respond to a politician who holds their country hostage for means of a pension. People are done. This man sold out his country. He thinks he doesn't have to answer reporters' questions. He supports, keep in mind, all of these protests that are rotting our streets because it's a good distraction for him and his policies. The questions, though, didn't end for Mark Carney as things move forward. I want to highlight this one. The pleb tweeting out that the amazing Zoltan asked Mark Carney how many genders there were tonight after the debate. Now, again, this wasn't a concern, I don't think, for some people, but the question was asked because it was kind of a gotcha moment. Let's see if we can get that centered there. It was kind of a gotcha for Mark Carney. You can tell he's annoyed by this. No earpiece to help him through this one. Let's take a look at this one.
North. If you thought my friend's question was odd, you're going to love this one.
I'm glad you self-assessed that. Okay.
How many genders are there?
There, in terms of sex, there are two. Thank you.
My follow-up question then: do you believe that women...
Look at his face. He's mad. He's mad. Wait for all the ums and ahs. You think Carney drops more ums and ahs than Trudeau? Watch this. Here we go.
Women, biological women, have the right to their own spaces, their own sports, their own change rooms, their own prisons, their own homeless shelters.
He's pissed. He's mad. Totally mad.
I think this is Canada, and that as a general objective, yes, but we work in where we value all Canadians for who they are, and we'll continue to do so. Thank you very much.
So, Alex,
I think somebody's bank account is going to get frozen for that one. Let's move on because Cian Bexty also lashed out during question period with Mark Carney. The claim here, the quote doesn't do it justice. I'm going to play the question because Cian comes back. Carney starts to talk about how, I haven't seen you around when I'm making announcements. And Cian, of course, saying, well, you kicked me out of them. As we've seen that at all the Mark Carney events. Rebel News especially has been told to get off the property where Mark Carney is. He famously holds events where media are not allowed to attend. This guy hates Canada. He hates Canadians.
Your entire campaign does seem to be predicated on putting you in the front and hiding the people that stood in lockstep with Justin Trudeau for the last 10 years. You're kind of hoping that Canadians won't connect the dots, that the people standing behind you in your caucus walked in lockstep with him. Regardless of what you say right now, Stephen Guilbeault made the carbon tax's life work. The man that moved Paul Bernardo from a maximum security prison is now your chief of staff. I'm wondering how you reconcile this and how you can trust their judgment.
So again, look at his face. Look how mad he is. He hates this. He hates that he has to do this. Can you imagine what 4 years of this guy's going to look like?
Thought those ideas were good ideas.
I'd say a couple of things to that rather odd question. First is that the candidates in this election for the Liberal Party, I mean, you go and see when I make an announcement. I don't think I've seen you at any of them, but next time you can come. And you will see a wide range of the candidates.
I love how he says, I haven't seen you. Well, you kicked me out.
That are there presenting themselves. So, for example, with respect to our announcement on crime, we had Bill Blair, now the Minister of Defense, of course, formerly the Chief of Police and a long time in Toronto, and Natalie Provost.
Now, he goes on to stymie everything else like he does with word salad. He doesn't really ask us, but a lot of people were chiming in saying, you know, I really don't like that Maxime Bernier wasn't invited to the debate. I think Maxime Bernier should have had a place in the debate. He should have been what I've often argued, well, he doesn't have a seat. In fact, he was apparently in Red Deer, Alberta, talking to people while the debate was going on. But one of the places he is talking to people that people have talked about is Tucker Carlson. If you know anything about Tucker, well, we'll get into it after the clip. I want to let's highlight first what Brian Lilley had to say. This should help Pierre Poilievre. While interviewing self-interested huckster Maxime Bernier, self-interested huckster Tucker Carlson calls Pierre Poilievre a fraud. No, the two frauds are the guys in this video. Let's take a look at this clip, and then I'll give my 10 cents. I mean, my 2 cents are free, but let's take a look here.
Pierre Poilievre.
Pierre Poilievre is the leader of the Conservative Party.
He seems like a true fraud to me,
He seems like a true fraud to me. Now, this is just a brief clip. Let's run it from the beginning.
Pierre Poilievre.
Pierre Poilievre is the leader of the Conservative Party.
He seems like a true fraud to me, like a pretty sinister fraud.
A pretty sinister fraud. I'm not sure if that's a defamatory statement, if that classifies as a defamatory statement. I've said many times, if Maxime Bernier wants to get a seat in a riding, have a mandate from the people, I will happily say that yes, he should have a spot in the debates. This is the problem I've had with Maxime Bernier from day one, is that he seems to go against Pierre because it's an easy target. He doesn't ever want to target the Liberals. He's like, somebody said it in my comments the other days, it's like Groundhog Day. He just pops up every 4 years to tell you, shift more votes over to the Liberals and why he's so much better than the Conservatives. Yet he can't win a seat. Maxime Bernier, and again, it's no gripe at the PPC voters. If you want to vote PPC, you've got every right to vote PPC, but I've often said that in this election, in this one in particular, I personally just want rid of the Liberals. I'm willing to give Pierre a chance. I'm willing to see if he's able to do everything he says he's going to do for this country, because many things are on the line in this election, one of which, and is very critical to where I live, is the discussion of Alberta separation. If Alberta doesn't start to see some fair treatment from its government, talks about separation are going to engulf the province. People are going to demand a referendum. At heart, I'm Canadian, but I'm also an Albertan. I have to think about the future for my children. And if we're not going to get a fair shake from the government, it's time to start talking about other options. I think that only through Pierre Poilievre at this point, out of the reasonable, available options, is the best solution to preventing Alberta, at least at first, from separation talks. Those are my 10 cents. I think that Max should stay in his lane. I think Max needs to win a seat before he starts poking his nose into things. And again, I've met Max personally. I've talked to him. I have no problem with him personally. I just think now is not the time in one of the most critical elections of our decades to be throwing a wrench into the works against Pierre Poilievre and trying to stick Canada with Liberals for another 4 years. Let me know your thoughts down below. Are you guys looking forward to the English debate tonight? Did you believe Mark Carney had an earpiece in his head and was just simply scratching the back of his head when he was caught on camera? You could see a lot of people pointing out last night that he was taking steps back from the podium or touching underneath his chin anytime he wasn't happy with a question. Again, I missed that, but a lot of people pointing those things out. And my question is did he have signals to give during the debate? Did he have an earpiece? Let me know what you guys think down below. I mean, I'm not going to ask if you think he's cheating. Of course, we all know the answer to that one. Let me know if you're coming with us tonight to watch the debate. If you're going to join myself and Mrs. Fringe here on the channel, it's going to be fantastic. Again, I think the shots are going to come out in full force because all candidates know more viewers will be watching the English debate. Hopefully, it's a little bit more content-filled than just Trump, Trump, Trump. Let me know your thoughts. Again, if it's your first time here, or if you're a regular viewer and haven't yet hit the subscribe button, now is the most important time to hit that subscribe button, folks. This stuff's getting censored like crazy. We had a few videos this week that have been pushed down. Subscribe not only to this channel, but every Canadian content producer for politics on the platform. All of us are going to get censored out. We know that Mark Carney wants to censor us off the platforms altogether if he becomes prime minister and gets a 4-year mandate. Hit the button. It's free. It helps. Turn on your bells for all notifications on all channels you subscribe to so you don't miss a beat, so you're not censored out of the news you need heading into this federal election. Join me live, not just tonight for the debate, but also tomorrow for Friday Night Fringe every week here on the channel, where it's our live streaming show where, again, I'm joined by the beautiful Mrs. Fringe as we go back and forth with everything happening this week in politics, everything we know that's coming up in the week ahead, as well as back and forth within the greatest YouTube community on this platform. We look forward to hearing what you guys have to say outside of making these videos, but I most importantly look forward to hearing what you have to say this Friday night, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, here on the channel. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.